I'm also a member of the Board of Assessment Appeals, currently serving as its chairman. I'm here to address you on the chaos that was surrounding the entire assessment process this past year. As a preliminary matter, though, I think I'd like to clear up some confusion as to what the town's assessment process actually is, how it works, where it starts, and where it ends. The sources of what I'm about to tell you are found in the Connecticut General Statutes and the Board of Assessment Appeals Handbook, entitled A Guide to Property Tax Administration for Connecticut's Municipal Board of Assessment Appeals, which is written in layman's terms, so it's a lot easier for me and everybody else to understand. So I'm going to leave that as an exhibit for you if you wish. And so after watching the June 6th Town Council meeting on television, together with reviewing some written material that I received and the board received from town administration recently, it became apparent to me that the assessment process needs to be reiterated. And it became abundantly clear that it appears the town is trying to create the illusion that it's up to the tax assessor and or the town manager to review BAA decisions and act as the final arbiters in determining which BAA decisions they want to overrule, affirm, or dismiss. And unfortunately for them, but fortunately for the taxpayers and the council, they have it backwards. The tax assessor and the town manager are the town. They're on the same team. They are the town administration. The property owners and taxpayers are the people. And the BAA is the official municipal agency that's designed to serve as the appeal body for taxpayers who believe that the town erred in the valuation of their properties or erroneously denied them exemptions. That's found at page 1 of this handbook. Numerous statutes, the handbook continues on page 5, numerous statutes provide an oversight of the valuation process, and it states that a critical part of that oversight is the Board of Assessment Appeals. The Boards of Assessment Appeals are provided by statute to act as an independent body of review for property owners who wish to appeal their assessments after exhausting more informal channels of appeal, such as the assessor, revaluation company, etc. It's important to note, in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 12-111, that a taxpayer makes a formal appeal to the Board of Appeals, not to the tax assessor. And examples of where that's been overstepped this past year, I'll just give you a couple. One is that before the appeals even were started, the tax assessor unilaterally attempted to amend the official appeal form that had been approved by the BAA even before I got on there last year. And in so doing, the changes were made more onerous for people to appeal. For instance, requiring them to get an appraisal fully done, completed, and attached with the appeal form, which is similar to, like, if you want to bring a lawsuit against somebody, you want to have your court exhibits all set, clipped onto the lawsuit when you file it, which is a really onerous requirement. A BAA member noticed it and called them on it, and they retracted it, and so they then reestablished the BAA approved appeal form that was in use now, for this year. The other example of the tax assessor thinking he's making decisions instead of the Board of Assessment Appeals is when people would file their appeal, he would decide whether or not it was complete, which usurps the authority of the Board of Assessment Appeals. That's our job, our duty, our responsibility, not his. So once we discovered that, and we don't know how many people he denied that didn't come back, but we do know he did do it, and we chastised him on that, and so then he stopped doing that so that their job is receive the appeals, or we receive the appeals, give them to us, and we do our legal duty as required by the statute. Another statute, in addition to 12-111, is Connecticut Statute 12-504D. Yes. 5 minutes? Wow. Okay, well, I'll See you on the other end. Okay.
I just would like to remind you, leave personalities out of the
What did I say that was about some personality? I was just stating facts. Is there something that I said that was wrong?
I think you were mentioning about personnel.
Well, I'm mentioning about the difficulties we've had as a board in terms of some of these people. Am I supposed to, you don't want to hear this? Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Mayor?
I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying that personnel matters and issues, I think, we've been dealing with for the last several months.
Just as a point of order, I think it might be most helpful. So, through public comment, people have time to speak. Sounds like your time has elapsed, Mr. Tyler, and I imagine he would get to speak again.
Yes.
I don't think it's good to bicker.
Okay, well, there's the handbook.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyler.
Okay, just to finish where I was on, I was going over the statutory scheme for assessments and how it's determined and who makes the decisions. So I was at the point where I had just talked about Connecticut General Statute 12-504D, which says the Board of Assessment Appeals, not anybody else, must hear appeals of persons claiming to be aggrieved by the actions of the tax assessor. And then the other statute I want to refer to is 12-113, which says that only the Board of Assessment Appeals has the power to take appeals from taxpayers, review, and correct the work of the assessors. And one of the issues that came up during our hearings was we heard from several individuals that complained to the town manager, and she entertained their complaints. She was very polite with them. And when they came to see us, according to them, they said that she listened to their grievances. She took reviewed their evidence and their documents, took physical custody of the documents, and then indicated to them, or at least they thought, it was going to be turned over to BAA at their hearings. And when the hearings occurred, we knew nothing of this until each of these people was telling us the same story. And the documents, we told them that we didn't have any of their documents. The important part of this is if you don't have documents, you don't have any evidence, you lose. So what Lori and Donna did is rearrange schedules so that these people could be accommodated to come back again. And the only documents we finally were able to get was on one appeal. It was the Moose Club, and they had about 400 pages of documents. We were not provided a copy. We were shown finally the original documents, but told that we could only read them during our hearings. So we took Lori off of the hearings, had her spend a couple hours reading all these so that during deliberations we could assimilate all the information and then make an informed, intelligent decision, which we did. But without those documents, those people would have lost. And that would have been unfair because they're a tax-exempt organization. And so anyway, I don't want to waste any more time on that. Then I did want to say that with regard to this handbook, it does say at page 11, too, it's the Board of Assessment Appeals who decides to accept or reject an appeal application if it's incomplete or if any of the items are missing or if it's received after the deadline. That's at page 11. And in summary, at page 5, it does say that assessment review in Connecticut, quote, relates to procedures that ensure property valuations are just and equitable. An extended and involved process, it begins with the assessor and ends with the Board of Assessment Appeals. We don't report back to the town manager or the tax assessor to overturn our appeals. We are the ones that review the information, not them. And then with that, I did want to make one comment, Mr. Mayor. I actually think that what you did to me has a chilling effect on my free speech and that it's not in your rules or regulations. Never have I seen it before at a council meeting where somebody was chastised for telling the truth about any one of the officers or officials. There is a rule you have that says you can't be disrespectful. I do not believe I was being disrespectful. I was being truthful. And that's something
Tyler,
the town of
your time is
Enfield
up.
needs.
Your time is
Thank
up.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Riley, for giving me his 3 minutes. And I did want to make some additional comments or two about the June 6th public speakers, because they described some experiences with the tax assessor and the tax assessment process passionately and in detail. And it sounded like an unnecessarily painful process that needs to be addressed. The town manager's response was very disappointing to me, to say the least. I think it was a callous disregard to not mention anything about the pain and suffering of these people that spoke. Marie did acknowledge their suffering, and they're the people that elect you, that you're supposed to represent and serve. So the town manager's response basically was that she censored and suppressed public records of our public records because she disagreed with it, and also that she said she'd maybe repost it sometime after she figured out how to rewrite our minutes, none of which is legal. But apparently nobody else cares about it because it's been 2 weeks and still lots of things aren't back. We did file a supplemental report this afternoon that I'll send all of you a copy of on an appeal relating to letters that we received from the tax assessor and in conjunction with the town manager. The only other thing I want to say is that we were criticized, and the town manager angrily proclaimed, quote, "I will not tolerate the BAA or other people speaking earlier casting aspersions on the tax assessor." We didn't cast any aspersions. We told cold, hard facts that were documented by reality. And one of them, I only have time for one tonight, but this is where the tax assessor sent out a letter to everyone about saying, "The State Motor Vehicle Department has notified our office that you have recently registered the below-listed vehicle in the town of Enfield. I had submitted a redacted letter with the initial report, and I have one I'm going to pass around to each of you tonight." So these letters, in reality, did not come from the state of Connecticut. They were actually a concoction of the tax assessor. It never happened. He knew full well that his state notice assertion was false, and yet he used it as a predicate to launch an inquisition basically against scores of unsuspecting businesses and property owners regarding hundreds of motor vehicles for information they would not otherwise have had to dig up and turn over. We didn't cast that aspersion. If that's an aspersion, he did it, not us. We're just reporting. So anyway, I don't think I have any more time. But I wish I did, and actually that's probably why I encourage you to open up a council oversight investigation to find out what happened and get to the bottom of it, because if you don't correct it, it's going to get worse, and you're going to have a lot more people back here once they get their tax bills. But thank you for listening to me, and thanks again, Mr. Riley, for the 3 minutes.